a podcast for security folks who want less FUD and more FUN. In each episode, we'll have lighthearted conversations about security, people, processes, and technology as we react to how they're portrayed in film and TV. We'll bring in experts from inside and outside Check Point to break it down. What was accurate? What wasn't? And what can you apply to real-world cyber events? On today's episode, host Syya Yasortornrat, Check Point Cloud Security Architect Alfred Trevino, and Brad Gorka, CISO and Information Security Leader, react to the 1998 film Enemy of the State. And hello, everyone. Welcome back to Check Point ReelTalk. Today, I am joined by Brad and Alfred. Guys, welcome to the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So I know there's been so many great suggestions of, oh, guys, you guys need to check out this movie or this TV show, etc. But like the number one request we've gotten so far is this little movie called Enemy of the State. You guys heard of it before?
90s classic.
Definitely.
Okay, wonderful. I'm glad you guys nod in approval that you know what it is, because I have actually never seen it.
It's been a minute since I've seen it, but I do remember it.
Yeah, Alfred, when's the last time you've seen it?
Actually about 2 or 3 weeks ago. For nostalgia reasons, I saw it and I was like, oh, you know what? Let me check it out. But there's some cool, totally relevant scenarios and situations. So it'll be good.
Okay. All right. Well, this is going to be a lot of fun. So it's like fresh in your memory. And Brad, it's going to be kind of what you've remembered and fondly remember. And me, it's going to be my literal first time, guys. So if my comment's it's going to be a real, like, wow, I feel like one of those like slackers that listen to like old school, like, I don't know, Fleetwood Mac, and they're like, never heard of it. And I'm like, how could you have never heard Fleetwood Mac? I suspect is what a lot of people are going to say about me right now. So, well, I would like for us, if you guys don't mind, to kick off with the trailer. And the reason why I want to start off with the trailer is because that's the pitch, right? That's the Hollywood, let's get everyone's attention and check it out type video montage, if you will. So let's see how truthful, honest this trailer is going to be, guys. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead.
Hey, hi.
So you want some lingerie for your wife?
She's a 6.
What about cup size?
I'm sorry? Oh, she's way bigger than that. I mean, not noticeably. Hello?
Robert Clayton Dean.
Are those my Christmas presents?
In your dreams, buddy.
Dad.
A loving husband.
You are the only woman in the world for me. You and Janet Jackson.
An ordinary citizen.
We believe that sensitive materials may have passed to you.
Will become
What kind of materials?
a wanted man.
Let's get into his life.
He's on your 6 o'clock.
You have something they want.
Target's ripped
I
up.
don't have anything!
Produced by Jerry Bruckheimer.
Target switching.
Directed by Tony Scott.
Stop it now!
Will Smith.
Certainly carjacked a really nice car.
Gene Hackman.
Get rid of your clothes, all of them.
What the hell is happening?
I blew up the building. Why? Because you made a phone call.
The enemy is everywhere. Enemy of the state.
Want to take a poke at me? I don't hit senior citizens.
Okay, first off, is it really responsible to blow up a building because of a phone call? That was like, that really popped out at me.
If that's what it takes, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what this movie's about. Okay, based on that, it feels like what they're trying to articulate is some Will Smith is some fish out of the water, pulled into some intrigue, and Gene Hackman's pulling him out, saving him. Is that the deal?
Close. Like Gene Hackman is I'll say this in the most best way, typical conspiracy theory, but he knows what he's talking about, right? He knows what's going on out there. Will Smith is accidentally part of this whole montage of government, political espionage. And there's a few scenes in the movie where he gets information that he doesn't even really know. And so, like us today, right? We get all this information from our phones, we get it from our tablets, and, like that 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, what actually he didn't care about or wasn't concerned with, is more relevant today because of the compute power and just the analytics of what we're doing now. But it does take that large look of, hey, how can one person be like the centerpiece of all of this government conspiracy, political agenda, whatever you want to call it, and then where does he go from there? And at that time, there's no how do I get out of this, right? What am I going to do next? His cards are being yanked. I think back then it might be a little bit difficult for others out there that aren't familiar with that area to really get intrigued by it. But I think those that were out there back then are just like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. Like, these are the little things that we talk about, and like the whole social engineering aspect of it.
Yeah, I think the peril of the whole thing, and it's enemy of the state. And you talk about the state, and in security we talk about state threats, and how if you do get targeted by a state actor, it doesn't matter how much money you spend or how strong your security program is, you're going down, because the state, in theory, has unlimited resources and technology that's not even available in the commercial sector and everything. So I think that is kind of an interesting analogy. And if you did have to go up against a state actor like that, good luck.
Good luck.
Okay. So, as a small business owner, as a citizen of Earth, I feel like at times, just from a cybersecurity perspective in general, I do feel like when you have nation states attacking us, civilians, trying to go after our infrastructure, et cetera, or just simply by virtue of our poor hygiene as far as our own security, readiness, I feel like I'm an enemy of the state. Am I being paranoid, you guys?
No, we're just collateral, really. We're going to be collateral for all the damage that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like the OPM breach, I mean, they weren't after every single one of those individuals in there, but, there probably were some very important targets, and a lot of what's in there could be great information for down the road for somebody else they decide they want to target. So, there's a lot of collateral damage, but, I do kind of agree with you that there's just so many targets to go after. And, I think there's probably more disruption that could be orchestrated and executed upon. Mm-hmm. But as we move as a quote society, civil, maybe not so civil society, we're moving, it almost feels like away from kinetic war and into more cyber war. I don't know if it'll, probably not fully transition in my lifetime, but, that's where these things are taking place. So maybe they haven't hacked all the critical infrastructure, but maybe they've got enough tools and enough information at their disposal that if they wanted to execute an attack, they could do it, because there's people collecting all this information and setting up back doors and whatever else, and just hanging on to them.
So you just mentioned something that might be a future episode, which is Collateral Damage, right? Is that the other movie?
One, yeah.
Another movie I have not seen. Oh gosh, guys. Okay, so I really appreciate so that's our initial insights and our thoughts. I say let's move on to our next clip, and let's see that it's gonna hone us in a little bit more specifically to our areas of interest, which is again technology and cybersecurity.
Fiedler, it's Hicks. I need an intercept on a Daniel Leon Zavitz, 202-555-0108.
And what's our authorization?
Check black.
We're calling it a P1 training op, FBI approval.
To the Telecommunications Security and Privacy Act.
News desk. Lenny, you are not going to believe what I have in my possession.
Zavitz, long time.
Lenny, I've got the Phil Hammersley murder on videotape.
Phil Hammersley died of a heart attack.
Negative. Hammersley was professionally wasted under the direction of some anal retentive with what looks like a serious vitamin D deficiency.
Well, how did you get this tape?
My conservation study at the lake photographed the murder.
You're kidding me.
The camera was aimed straight across at the pier, right where Phil Hammersley was killed.
How fast can you get that tape over here?
I'm making a copy right now.
Put a tap on it. And give us a dedicated satellite for this operation.
It's already done.
Fiedler, is this line secure?
Yes, it is, sir. Okay, satellite imagery coming through.
Roger that. Patch visual my location. Confirm visual. Thank you much.
Everyone there?
All units target heading north on rooftop. Colombian 18th requests immediate visual support, over.
Roger that. We have visual.
Zavitz, James Zavitz. Hey, it's me, Bobby Dean. We were at Georgetown together. You okay?
Help me.
What do you think of this one, sir? Yeah, this is Becky. Becky, say hi.
Okay. Wow. Okay, first off, just a little shout out. Maybe we're playing more Chiba in the background on that little sexy scene.
Maybe listen to this.
Just throwing that up out there. So, okay. What was going on there, guys?
Well, apparently the government is capable of monitoring and recording every voice call that exists in real time. Sure, that's real.
And then we've got the handoff, right? The social engineering aspect of it, where we see Jason Lee there giving an item or putting it into the bag for Will Smith.
Okay, I'm confused. Who's on what side? Like, what is Will Smith just like a pawn, and these two are playing with each other? Is that
just innocent bystander?
That is it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the Jason Lee crew, they're bad guys.
No, they're actually like university folks, or they're doing a study, and what happened previous to the scene was a gentleman was killed, and it was filmed because of Jason Lee's like video surveillance that they're doing over this like pond studying ducks. And so he looks at the video and was like, "Whoa, I got all of this on tape. I got to do something with it." And that's
video of the congressman getting whacked by NSA agents.
And did he realize it was NSA, or just thought it was like bad, just random bad guys?
I don't think he knew at that point, right?
Okay. And Jason Lee is just like some kind of like professor guy doing a study.
Mm-hmm.
How do these guys suddenly become like spy, know all the nuances and all that then? I'm confused.
Well, that's where the Gene Hackman character, I think, comes in to try and rescue Will Smith.
Yes.
Okay.
He's kind of connecting all the dots for everything going on, because Will Smith is very confused, has no idea what's going on, not very much on the electronic side or technology side. And it shows in the movie when his wife is just the opposite. She's the one like, "Hey, the government's tracking you. They can do this." And he's like, "I don't care about that. Blah, blah, blah."
Why should I care? Right?
Yeah.
We've done all that before.
Yeah. I mean, it just definitely lends itself to this whole deep state mythology or whatever following that you want to call it out there. And that's become a lot more kind of popularized in the past couple of years. Certainly movies like this kind of help fantasize a lot of it. But, we continue to see movies like this. I mean, people certainly believe that the government can and does surveil common citizens or, other people that they want to go after. And, maybe a bit of skepticism is a good idea to kind of keep your guard up a little bit. But I try not to worry or live in that space too much. It'll drive you crazy.
It will. I'm the same way, Brad. I always try to do some pre checks, and then I do my post check and my follow up. It's like, where does it end? But no, I do. I go by like the little stuff that I got taught early on. I wouldn't put anything out there that I wouldn't want my grandma to see, right? Or something like that, right? I try to do the best practice with financial things that a lot of that stuff hasn't changed on like best practice and having good hygiene online and putting your stuff out there in the social media sites and et cetera. But I try to practice the little things that I can, because at the end of the day, as we mentioned earlier, if you're a state actor, there's, whether you're directly involved or indirectly involved, there's not much you can really do.
Yeah, but I don't think, though, that federal agencies would really require this insanely robust surveillance capability today. They would just need a bunch of hackers and computer people, because they don't need to go do all this legwork to figure out what you're doing day to day. They could just hack your Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and everything else, and they could find it. Then they could pull your location off your phone. So it's like you don't really need all these sensors and antennas and the discrete surveillance van and all. You just don't need that.
No, and another thing I was thinking about was back then because I can put my bad hat on, but it was so easy to get away with bad stuff back then, right? Today, where everybody's got a phone and a professional set of video photography with them at all times, and your Uber drivers and your videos out in your commutes and everything else. It's like it's not as convenient for the folks to do what they need to do sometimes when we look at these videos back then. But yeah, it's amazing to where it's at right now. The little resources that you need.
I mean, we willingly put ourselves up and out there, right? I mean, every time we post on any social media platform, it doesn't have to be TikTok, people. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter. It could be American based, business. You could probably social engineer someone's entire life. You know what it reminds me of is, and I think I'm obsessed with them, even though I can't stand it, is Black Mirror.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Hey, yeah, that's a good,
I'm obsessed with that damn TV show, but it's so close to home that's like a little too close. You know, that times like, ooh.
It does. It hits close, doesn't it?
Well, because they did it intentionally. Like they did a future where it's just enough for you to be like, ooh, you could be living this. And I forgot the episode, and I keep mentioning it because it's I actually really liked the idea, and it made me think a lot. That's what that show does, is make me think, which is really a frightening thing to do if you guys know anything about me. But
the video one, the recorded video, it was an early Black Mirror.
That's part of, I think, season 1 or season 2, but that wasn't the one I was thinking of. But that one's frightening. Yeah, those are two. That one is where you've got a chip in your brain and everyone has it, and then like going through TSA and they review your freaking so it's like computer to computer talking to each other as humans, just looking at each other. That's weird. That you can like see their entire day and with whom they've spoken with. That's freaky.
Oh yeah.
The one I was actually alluding to was a couple, and the husband dies early on, and then she there's a service apparently that basically makes him a doll and takes all his social media posts, and that's like a filtered version of him. And I think that's so weird because
it's creepy.
Yeah. I was working on a project kind of based around that to leave my kids something, which is along those lines of being creepy, right? It's I can't say too much of it because it's a intellectual property thing I'm thinking of, but it is quite along those lines. I haven't even seen that episode yet, but I want to see it now.
Oh yeah, I have to. Well, Domhnall Gleeson is the actor. I do remember that, and he was what in Star Wars. One of the Star Wars is as a general something or the other, the annoying general. I know. I'm not.
Watch.
Yeah, he plays a baddie. Anyway, so hey, I digress. But that being said, with all of our data that we're willing to put up and out there, it probably doesn't take a lot of difficulty for someone to figure out our passwords, right? Because again, humans have a tendency to do like their dog's name or whatever, right? Or cat's name or wife's name or child's name or whatever. Or actually, I just saw this on the other day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is still the most popular password out there.
It's like the combination of my luggage.
Baseballs.
Yeah. Great movie.
Oh my gosh, right? No, and you just brought something up there too. And it is. It's like there's a part of me that kind of knows, like, if they want something, they're going to get it. And I'm not saying that I just blatantly throw information out there, but in all reality, we know that directly or indirectly, you could be the low-hanging fruit next to your brother, your aunt, your uncle, your neighbor, whatever the case may be. It just takes that weakest link. And what used to take so long 20, 30 years ago to aggregate that information, correlate it back, right, with some crazy algorithms, it's there. Like we have it at hackers and bad folks and good folks have it at our fingertips, where what would take like years and take that off the plate now it can take minutes.
Yeah, and there's that information can be used in court cases as well. There was I think someone that was not recently, it's been a little bit, but they brought Fitbit location data to a trial to convict him for murder.
Yep, there you go.
And there's all these DNA and genealogy testing services that are out there, which the idea is really novel, but people are getting busted for murder for that thing, and maybe it wasn't that person's DNA, but it was their brother or sister or something. And now their kind of suspect pool has become extremely slow at that point. So, it's out there. They just got to subpoena it.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, actually, I just saw a lawyer, again, those short videos that are really popular. A lawyer saying, "Hey, if you're going to get interrogated by cops, do not offer or do not drink the water out of their cups, because they can take your DNA. They can legally take your DNA from that." But it's just crazy. Okay, so speaking of stealing and taking your DNA and all that wonderful good stuff, let's chat about the hacking then, because hacking has been, again, whether it's, white hat, black hat, and all that good hat, gray hat, pink hat, purple hat, and blue. I'm just making things up here at this point. But the idea around hacking is, I think in the zeitgeist, it is considered, negative, or it's some malicious person doing malicious intent. Now, obviously, there's different nuances to that. But, all right, so this one here, it looks like another trusted surveillance, and let's check this out, you guys. Ready?
Like you're mentioning, Brad, we don't even need to go through all this anymore. I mean,
no.
Great.
Just hack the Nest or Alexa, whatever you got.
What have we here?
We just happen to have the right watch.
I think we have a winner.
I'm sorry, what's going on? So they're matching
just
it?
Switching out the watch, phone,
perfect
pen.
How's that look? Easy, Mr. Dean. We have you bugged it, Mr. Dean.
Blow over? I'm not gonna sit around and wait for this to blow over. Jerry, I'm suing their right-wing asses right into Chapter 11. This is flagrant. They never even called to see what my side of the story was. They have no Sullivan protection with this.
Mr. Dean?
Yes?
Rachel Banks is on line 1, and Silverberg and Blake would like to see you in the conference room.
Jerry.
I don't know. Reporters are calling, asking me about my relationship with you and how long I've worked for the mob.
What's about Rachel Banks? Tell you what. She was my girlfriend the second year of law school. We keep in touch. We toss one another some work every once in a while. That's it.
Did you have an affair with her 4 years ago?
You ever beat off in the shower, Brian? You ever have any homosexual thoughts?
Bobby, that is
none of my business. You're damn right it's not. I love my wife and I love my son. Absolutely, with no equivocations. And that's none of your business either.
I'd like to have a room for the evening, please.
Okay. That line prophetic.
Thank you. I'm sorry, sir. This card was declined.
Declined. This is a brand new card. Try it again, please.
Yes, sir. Maybe it's not activated yet.
Thank you. Run this one, please. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So back in the day, right?
No.
We had people have money, very money with them.
Today, thank you.
This seems so much more.
Moving into phase 2 of the training ops. Selby's going to brief you on this, so listen up, all right? We're going to be following the subjects through the square. We're going to have 3 listening stations and 2 main surveillance units with unidirectional mics. Pratt, you're 3. Jones, Fiedler, Krug, you guys are at ground level. You'll be following the targets. You move when I say, you go when I say. All handoffs go on my command. Now, for the uninitiated, if we don't have line of sight, we can't hear what they say, right?
IRS contacted me this
Think they got the legit FISA warrant on this?
Say my lifestyle exceeds my income.
They're being audited?
For the last 4 years. What's going on, Bobby?
That's interesting. All right. So much going on this scene that I'm kind of confused a little bit. So how are that room full of young people supposed to represent the government? Is that normal?
I think that was like not a misconception, but like the techies and the nerds and the geeks, right? Yeah. Those were in the cyber. It was there was a transition from when we talk about technology, those that were in charge for the government and all of that, right? So the new folks coming in, right? The young people. I think I think it's a little legit, but there still should be an overarching command, somebody there that kind of looks the style, looks the part of what we're traditionally used to seeing. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely back in the late 90s for sure. I mean, that's kind of who it was thought to be. And I mean, I guess I was technically one of those folks as well, but
oh yeah.
Oh, our Utes. I was just looking at all the actors, how young they were, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm older than some of them. Okay, so anyway, so as I was looking at that video, and it just felt like you said earlier, Alfred, that it just seemed a lot of surveillance.
Yeah. Well, because we weren't carrying around a smartphone back then. I mean, that was just collecting all this data all the time for everywhere we go and who we interact. I mean, like if you actually just install these apps and just let them run and don't really, and you just click agree and yes to everything, the amount of data they collect is insane. I mean, they literally will listen to what you're talking about with your spouse or significant other. And then the next day, ads start popping up for some conversation you were having. Like, that's creepy as hell.
Oh.
But you know, back when this movie was made, this data didn't exist. They had to collect it in real time.
So when you think about like on your phone, right? I do if it can't be done through my phone, it's probably not going to be done. I mean, unless I'm working on a computer. But if you think about it, right, like your My Charts and all that, just pull out all the apps, all your social media that you go to throughout the day, and say, there's an hour that I was at the doctor's office, right? But you're on your My Chart, but just think how globally connected all that information is and how it wasn't before. And we had to go collect it. But yeah, it's like, you know, I go to I got my Target or whatever retail store I'm in for doing my shopping at Amazon. But if you block out those times throughout like a day's course, man, that's a lot of time to share all that information or have that capability to share that information with everybody.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind that how much information, how much data is getting pushed across, whether it's private sector or public sector, how much is getting collected, and it's going somewhere, right? It's getting processed somehow. It's it's just freaky a little bit to me because I'm like, I ain't nobody, but at the same time, I am somebody, right? Like,
it's the information is valuable or will be valuable to somebody at some point in time.
That's it. Everybody's got an agenda, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, no, that totally makes absolute sense, guys. So, okay. So I know we can't watch the entire movie, guys. Otherwise it's going to be a 5-hour Chatty McChatterson with us. I just want to highlight a couple of some fun little things to talk about. So any last thoughts on, of the clips that we've seen? Where do you feel like technology back in the 1998, where we're at here in the 20s? Oh my God, we're in the 20s. We're in the roaring next generation 20s.
I think some of the things they were doing in there were relatively believable when you think about the resources that the federal government has and had back then. I mean, I think, probably 75% of it was within the realm of believable and what was available to the U.S. government at that time. But what's crazy is you just fast forward now, and these capabilities exist for the 13-year-old hacker wearing you got to have the black hoodie. You have to have the hoodie, but it's available to that person, and or you can just go online and buy it for $100 or, whatever else. So you don't need the power and capability of a state government to do this today. And it's been 35 years? Is it 30? No, 25.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, no, it's the relevancy today is where technology was and where it's at now is that's it. It's all at our means. And that's why I think it's so important, when you're on, like, this isn't a marketing pitch, I'll just throw that out there right now. But back in the day before I worked at Check Point, when I'm on the customer side, I took pride in what I did. But more importantly, if there was a tool that I was using and I really believed it, that was my tool, and that's what I used. And I was, 100% ingrained into, whatever verdict it had at the end. Well, now looking back, right, there's a lot of folks that say, well, you said this earlier, Sy, you can do X amount of throughput. Cool. I think everybody can do X amount of throughput. And when I think of tools and solutions, oh, you can do this? Cool. Well, you can do that as well. However, now when I think, I've always thought this back in the day, but it's more important today, but not every tool out there or solution out there does what it says. And we might not do everything perfect or everything right, but when you talk about true security, and that's our forte, and that's what we've built our company on, our DNA, that is absolutely 100%. Like I'm in agreement with that, and that's something that is more important today. It might not have been important, a couple of years ago, but just the way that we're connected, the way that you see technology progress, the way that the world is moving, nobody can keep up with it. So,
yeah, I like to see some of the technologies that just break this stuff down for regular people. If you read what's in some of these terms of services and EULAs for all these apps that are available, it's just crazy what you're agreeing to, but nobody reads that. Like, even if you're a lawyer, you're probably not going to sit there and read that. But I like how Android is doing it lately, where in the Play Store, they're getting very specific and explicit about the things that app can do to your phone or the data it's collecting, but you don't have to read the full EULA. It highlights it for you at the beginning. And now they're actually scanning the apps periodically, and they'll say, hey, you haven't used this app in like a month, so we're going to get rid of it had location permission, we're going to turn that off. It could see your pictures, we're going to turn that off. Or you can just look at it and say, you know what, I don't even need that anymore, uninstall. So that kind of stuff is great. I like seeing that, and hopefully, technology providers will continue to do that to just make it easier to manage these things, because maybe if it collects a week worth of that, I'll live with it because I want the convenience. But once I'm done with it, like, let's flush it. Let's get rid of it.
Couldn't agree more. The awareness, right? That
yeah.
Awareness area, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Guys, I know we can keep talking on this, and it was so much fun learning about, again, I had heard about Enemy of the State. Everyone told me, no, check it out. But you guys have really helped illuminate some cool little aspects. And of course, Hollywood's going to sensationalize as much as they possibly can to amp up the excitement factor of it. But I mean, let's be honest, most of the stuff when we're talking about cybersecurity and all that, it's pretty much desktop, not running around the cities with helicopters and all that stuff. I mean, we
don't need it anymore. Don't need the helicopters.
Nope.
We wish. Kind of cool.
That's going to go like with Brad's social, like I agree on your social, like the social aspect of folks, right? And how it's limiting itself now, like where does it go? And I'm not normally one of those ones that feed off of it, but as time goes on, I don't know, I see myself more and more kind of wanting it. Yeah. So I think there's different thresholds or levels, right, for everybody, but yeah, I think that's an interesting topic.
Well, it could be one group that goes towards, let's be around humans again. And then another group may go opposite and say, well, I'm just going to live in the world of meta now. And that's my existence. That's my social existence.
Forget topic, right?
Yeah. That's a whole other thing.
Something tells me we're going to have to schedule like a part 2, part 3. I might just go, forget it. I'm just going to leave. I'm going to close out here and you guys just keep talking amongst yourselves. So how about that?
All right. Sounds good.
Wizard of Oz is a good one. And I was thinking about at the end, the facade with the wizard, man, I've got a really good kind of script for each one of those areas all the way down to the facade, but that's for later.
Oh my God. Alfred. Okay. You're back. You're back. I'm just going to make you a co-host here. You just make it happen, my friend. So, anytime. You guys are awesome. So Brad, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And Alfred, of course, thank you for being that rock for me in word of wisdom. And quite frankly, because I have no idea what the hell Enemy of the State was about. So thank you for sharing a lot of the insights, guys. I think that will wrap it up for another episode of Check Point ReelTalk. That's a wrap on today's episode of Check Point ReelTalk. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button and some of those other buttons to show us your appreciation. And if you want to learn more or have any questions, please let us know in the comments. We'll see you next time for another episode of Check Point ReelTalk.